Call and response is something that I think we envision as an epic guitar battle. One guy's like, and then the other guy's like, oh yeah, really? And that's awesome. But I think, number one, that type of intensity is like the pinnacle of call and response. I think dynamics and also space are two things that may be overlooked. Another way you can think about call and response is actually by yourself when you are trying to develop melodies. I think melodic guitar playing is the hardest thing to teach to someone because it's really something that you have to feel. You can't tell someone, okay, feel. You have to have it inside you. It has to be your own voice. So in order to find your own voice, then you have to be able to understand how to get out of the shapes and boxes and licks that you're very accustomed to playing that can be awesome but also limiting. So let's break down that little lick that I started the video with, where it was something like this. Now, this is just a straight pentatonic thing. I love the blues, that's what I'm rooted in. It's not a bad thing to play the pentatonic scale. I know people are always saying, here's a pentatonic scale hack, here's the scales you should play instead of the pentatonic scale. It's not a bad thing. If you like it, play it. But here's the way to kind of get more out of it than maybe you're used to. So what's the answer to this question? For me, it was something like this. So essentially, if we look at this and we break it down to its most foundational parts, we have this as our root. So this is a fourth interval. It's kind of unresolved, right? So an A against an E is a sus4. It's suspended. It's literally suspended. So that's why that kind of sounds like a question. Now, my answer should be something that resolves or answers that question. So for me, it would be something like this. Now, as you notice, I haven't actually gone from this A note. I'm still kind of in this pentatonic scale. And the answer phrase is still ending on this note. But what I'm doing here is kind of implying a chord change to that A. So it's almost as if just with these two licks, I've established a chord progression. So there's a little revelation for you. If you want to play more melodically, you want to outline chords and not necessarily outline them over the chord that is happening. So as I said here, this is outlining that E chord, but then it ends on an unresolved note, kind of leads you to this chord. So as you can hear there's harmony happening, even though in the beginning of this video I didn't play any chords. So maybe it's all kind of starting to make sense now. We have this lick. Now, as we can break it down further, we can change these licks. So this is the idea that we have established now is just a call and an answer. The call will outline the chord that's happening and then land on some kind of unresolved note that makes sense for the response to answer. And like I said, it doesn't have to, answer on the tonic, which in this case, A. It doesn't have to answer on that. It could be a third. So with that framework, we can then begin to kind of doctor these phrases that we've already established. And again, these two licks are just something that I like and something I pulled out. You can use your own licks and kind of use this approach to meld them together to play more melodically. But what you can do after you have some licks that you like is kind of manipulate them a little bit. Don't go too far away, because playing melodically means establishing some type of motif, some type of melody that brings the listener home when you go off into shred world. So when you have a melody like this, we can change maybe just this first note. And that would be enough to kind of, still have the bones of that melody, but have a little interesting departure from it. And then same thing goes for the second part, or the answer. So a lot going on there, but really you saw where it came from. It all started with just a real simple lick one, and then a lick two that I was really conscious of how the licks were working against the harmony. And I didn't really mention this, but you could hear the difference in the rhythm. So varying the rhythm from the call to the response is also an effective way to make it more conversational in a music perspective than just kind of ripping through scales or playing really fast. Not ever saying playing fast is a bad thing. I think Yngwie Malmsteen said more is more, so he's pretty good at guitar. I'd listen to that. But if you want to develop a little bit more melodic side of your guitar playing, then consider imbuing it with a bit of call and response action. So I'm going to see if I can go a step further with a little improv and play over a backing track. I get some questions from you guys what backing tracks I use. I usually link them, but there's this YouTube channel called My Darn Jam Tracks. So that is pretty much the only backing tracks that I use. To my knowledge, they're free to use, so let me know if they're not. But I haven't gotten any complaints. They're really amazing tracks. I definitely recommend you guys go check them out and jam over them and say Music is Win sent you. Hopefully it helps grow his channel. So anyways, without further ado, I'm gonna try and do some call and response melodic guitar playing. Until next time, guys, keep shredding.